Okay, now look at the, we'll continue. Okay, so look at material usage variance. In that, when the variance is a favorable one, when you get a positive value, then it's favorable. So we'll see what has caused a variance to be favorable. The first reason is higher quality material, leading to less wastage. So if the material quality is very high, then there won't be any wastages, right?
Yeah, then there will be wastage.
Okay, so therefore we'll get a favorable variance. And the second one is improvements in the production process. So there is some improvements in the production process also. Third one is when they use higher skilled workforce. So when they use higher skilled workforce, when the workers are highly skilled, then also they'll get a favorable variance. Now we'll look at adverse causes of adverse variance for material usage variance. Okay. So first
Okay.
one, first one is inferior materials leading to increased wastage. Okay, so when they use inferior materials and when it leads to so inferior material, it will lead to increased wastage. So when the wastage is high, it will cause an adverse variance. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. So inferior means low quality. Okay. So when they use that, it will increase the wastage, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second one is possibly theft of inventory. So not possible, sorry, possible theft of inventory. So when there is a possible theft for the inventory and all that, then also it will cause adverse variance. The third one is lower skilled workforce leading to more rejected products. That means now when they use when they use a worker which is not that skilled, which is lower skilled, okay, workers who are not unskilled, they are just like not highly skilled, they are like lower skilled. Okay, so when they use those kind of workers, then also it will lead to more rejected products, so that will also cause an adverse variance. Okay, and the fourth one is poor inventory control leading to deterioration. So when the inventory level is poor, okay, when the inventory control is poor, then also it will lead to deterioration. As a result, it will cause adverse variance. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Um, okay, so now look at the next part. Okay, look at this. Now we'll look at labor variance. Okay, so total labor variance is made up of labor rate variance and labor efficiency variance. Okay, so favorable means you have to know the variance is positive. Adverse means you have to know the variance is negative. Okay, so when there is a favorable labor rate variance, then that means they have used the lower skilled workers used in production. Okay, workers are not that skilled but normal. Okay, and reduction in labor rates. So when they reduce the labor rates paid to the employees, that will also cause a favorable one. And also less overtime or fewer bonus payments. When the workers don't work, you know overtime, when the overtime is less and when the bonus payments are fewer, then also favorable variance, because if they work overtime they have to pay more, right? So if they pay more, it will cause adverse. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understood that.
Okay, now look at adverse causes of adverse variance. First one is increase in labor rates. So sometimes when the labor rates are high and above the national minimum wage rate, then it will cause adverse variance. And also the second one is shortage of skilled labor. So when there's a shortage of skilled labor, then it will lead to increased wage rate. So when there are not much workers to work in a company, some workers will demand for higher wages. So in that case, they have to somehow provide them a higher wage rate. So that will cause an adverse variance. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Now, the next one is unexpected overtime payments. So sometimes if the workers work overtime, they have to pay high, right? So unexpectedly if that occur, then also adverse variance. Fourth one is higher skilled workforce used in production. So if they use a very highly skilled laborers, then also it will cause adverse variance. Now look at labor efficiency variance. In that, causes of favorable variance. Okay, so higher skilled labor completing tasks more quickly. So if the workers are highly skilled and if they complete tasks more quickly, then it's good for them. And the second one is more efficient production. So when the production is more efficient, like example, new machinery with fewer breakdowns, so all that will cause favorable variance. And then the third one is better quality materials, making production more efficient. So if they use better quality material, it will make the production more efficient. As a result, it's good for the business. Okay, and it will in turn give them a favorable variance. Fourth one is an increase in wage rates, improving motivation. So when they increase the wage rate, it will motivate the employees. So when the employees are motivated, what will happen, Amhar?
And when employees are motivated, efficiency will increase because employees they won't feel lethargic to not do the work, and they'll do it kind of quickly.
Yeah. Okay. And also, they will feel motivated because the wage rates are high. So, they will like feel motivated and give them put the maximum effort. Okay. So,
Yeah.
as a result, it will cause favorable labor efficiency variance. Okay.
Okay.
Now look at causes of adverse variance. Okay, when there is a adverse labor efficiency variance, what happens? So the reasons are lower skilled production workers being less efficient. So here they are saying if the company is using a lower skilled workers, and if they are being less efficient, then it's bad for them. And then poor training or lack of supervision. So if the workers are poorly trained and when there's a lack of supervision, then also it will cause adverse. And then poorer quality materials leading to slower production. So if the material quality is poor, and then it will lead to slow production. So as a result, they will have an adverse labor efficiency variance. Okay, and the fourth thing is material shortages leading to increased idle time. So sometimes there will be material shortage, so all that will increase idle time. As a result, it will cause adverse variance. Did you understand all this now?
Yeah, understood all that.
Okay. Uh, Now look at this fixed overhead variance. Okay. You will recall that this is a measure of the difference between the actual fixed overhead incurred and the standard fixed overhead. So actual fixed overhead minus standard fixed overhead. Okay. So when there's a favorable variance for fixed overhead, what is the reason? So first thing is reduction in factory rent or rates. So when the factory rent is reduced, okay, when the the rates also will be reduced, right? So that will cause favorable variance. And then increase in production levels due to increased sales. So if the production level is high due to higher sales, then it's good. And then decrease in direct expenses relating to production, such as insurance. So if the insurance expense is low, okay, then also it's good. And then now look at adverse variance. So what are the causes for adverse variance? First one is increase in factory rent. So whatever they said here, the opposite they are telling it here. Okay, so favorable ones opposite will come to adverse ones. Okay, so favorable one they are telling reduction in factory rent. Now they are saying for adverse, increase in factory rent. Did you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when the factory rent is increased, then it will cause adverse. And then machine breakdowns, reducing the level of production. So if the machines break, okay, it will reduce the level of production, right? So all that is bad. And then increase in direct expenses. So if the direct expenses has increased, then also adverse. And then adverse variance on sales. Sales budget leading to a reduction in production required. So when there's an adverse variance on sales budget, then also you will get an adverse variance for fixed overhead variance. Okay, did you understand all that?
Yeah, understood that.
Okay, now look at this variable overhead variance. Okay, the first one is you will recall this. You will recall that this is a measure of the difference between the actual variable cost incurred and the standard variable cost. So actual VC minus standard VC. Okay, and then when the variable overhead variance is favorable, then what are the reasons? First one is indirect materials less expensive than planned. So if the indirect materials are less expensive than the planned one, then it's good. Okay, then we will get a favorable variance. And if the indirect expense like electricity, water, and power decreases, then also we will get a favorable one. And then indirect labor rate less than planned. So if the indirect labor rate is less than the budgeted, then we'll get a favorable one. So plan means they are saying budgeted. Okay.
Okay.
Now look at this causes of adverse variance. Indirect material costs increasing. So when the indirect material cost is increasing, then adverse. And indirect expenses increasing. And then indirect labor rates also increasing. So all that will cause adverse variance. Okay. Did you understand all the reasons now for each and every variance?
Yeah, understood all those.
Okay, so in exams they might ask evaluate the reasons for the variances, something like that. Then you have to know this, okay?
Okay.
And then now look at this. Okay, this is also in your textbook. Okay, now interrelationships between variances. Okay, so I'll just explain this shortly. Okay, what they are saying is okay, what they are saying is, okay, interrelationships means how the variants are connected. Okay, what's the relationship between, direct material variance, direct labor rate variance, usage variance, like that, how they are interrelated. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, they are saying, it is important to recognize that interrelationship when analyzing the causes of variance and planning to take corrective actions. So it is important to know how the variants are interrelated, and we will know we will know how to plan to take corrective actions if it causes adverse variance, all that. Okay, the cause of a favorable variance might directly lead to an adverse variance elsewhere. So sometimes, can you remember direct material price variance might be favorable, and then direct material usage variance might be adverse. So like that, some might be favorable, and sometimes some might be adverse also. So that is what they are saying. It is important to know the interrelationship between the variances. Did you understand all that?
Yeah, understood this.
Okay. For example, okay, so they have told you an example. They are saying material price and material usage. Okay, so look at them, material price and material usage. So if a business buys cheaper raw material, this will lead to a favorable material price variance. Okay, so reasons for variance we studied, right? Material price variance. So if they buy a cheaper raw material, then it will lead to favorable material price variance. However, this may not be beneficial to the business. Okay, the cheaper materials might lead to more wastage. So they are saying, so, however, this might not be beneficial to the business because cheaper material might lead to more wastage. Okay, or scrap in the production process, and so it will lead to adverse material usage variance. So in usage variance, it will cause an adverse result. Did you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, in price variance, it might be favorable, and in usage variance, it's adverse. Because price variance is favorable because the raw materials are cheaper, and in usage variance, it is adverse because, because there is lots of wastage. Now, did you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, it might lead to an adverse labor efficiency variance if production takes longer due to poorer quality material. So they are saying in labor efficiency variance also it might cause an adverse result because they have been used poor quality material, right? Because of that, it will cause an adverse labor efficiency variance. Okay. So did you understand how the variances are interrelated?
Yeah, I can understand that.
Okay. Now look at the next part. Are other interrelationships to consider. Okay, first one is better quality materials might not only affect material usage but also labor variances. So now if a company uses better quality material, okay, it might not only affect material usage, okay, but also labor variance. So it might mean lower skilled and therefore less expensive employees can be used, resulting in a favorable labor rate variance. So that means now if they use better quality material, then labor rate variance is favorable, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so better quality material, it might mean that sometimes lower skilled labors are used. So if a lower skilled labor is used, then it will lead to adverse labor efficiency variance, right?
yeah,
Okay, so can you understand? One is favorable, one is adverse. Okay. And
yeah,
therefore less expensive employees can be used. Okay, so when the labor efficiency is adverse, then less expensive employees can be used. They won't provide them proper salary, all that. Okay, so resulting in a favorable labor rate variance. So one is favorable, the labor efficiency is adverse. That is what they are saying. And in addition, better quality material might make the production process quicker. So better quality material, right? So production process is quicker, resulting in a favorable labor efficiency variance. But then if they provide lower salary to the employees, then they'll be demotivated and sometimes it will cause adverse also. Did you understand all that?
yeah,
Okay. And also now look at the second one. Higher level of skilled labor may result in an adverse labor rate. Okay, so uh, when the labors are highly skilled, then it will result in adverse labor rate because we have to provide them more salary, right?
yeah, we have to.
Okay, when they are highly skilled, we have to provide more salary. So because of that, labor rate will be adverse. But favorable labor efficiency variance. Why the labor efficiency variance will be favorable? You know?
Yeah, it maybe it can be like more work could be like done in less time, uh
Yeah. Okay, favorable
yeah,
labor
yeah, like
efficiency
that.
means okay, because they are highly skilled, they will be working well. Okay, they will do lots of hard work and they will produce more output. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, and then the third point is an adverse labor efficiency variance might lead to an adverse variable overhead variance. If less skilled employees are less productive. So if the employees are if the employees are not that skilled, if they are less skilled, and if they are less skilled, then there will be low productivity, right? So they'll be less productive also. So if they are less productive, the product overall output will also be lower. So as a result, it will cause an adverse labor efficiency variance and adverse variable overhead variance. Okay, did you understand that?
yeah, I understood that.
Okay, when analyzing variances, it is always wise to look at all the information you have been provided with before coming to conclusions. So before giving a conclusion, you have to, look at everything, look at all the informations and give a conclusion. Okay, when you're analyzing the variances. Okay, like to conclusions about cause of the variation. Okay, so you have to identify the reasons for the variances and all that. After that only you can give a conclusion. Do you understand all this now?
Yeah, understood all that.
Okay, now look at variance analysis. Now we will learn management by exception. Okay, so management by exception is a business technique for examining operational results and only reporting and acting on those issues that are important to the business. So management by exception means it's a business technique, okay, like to examining the operational result and only acting on issues that are important to the business. Like let's say there's a big difference in variances. It has caused an adverse variance. So they will put some important to those issues and they will try to correct them. That is management by exception. Did you understand now?
Yeah, understood.
Okay. Earlier you told you're not properly familiar with this, right? Now, okay?
Yeah, it takes like couple of times to
Yes.
understand.
Yeah, okay. So look at the next part. In terms of variance analysis, the aim of management by exception is to focus the attention of management on those variances that differ significantly from the standard. Okay, so they are saying the aim of management by exception is that they will focus on variances that differ significantly. Like there will be a big difference, okay, from the actual figure and the standard figure. Did you understand?
Yeah, understand.
Okay, it is the larger significant variances that should be carefully examined as to the reasons behind them. So they will management by exception. They will carefully examine what's the reason for the difference in them, what's the reason behind them, like why it has caused adverse variance and all that. Okay, and then the business can then take the required actions to correct this. So after that business will take some corrective actions to correct all the differences and all that, because it understands that the scarce resources of the business are being targeted at the important issue. That means now when there is an adverse variance, like limited resources of the business are being targeted, okay, on the important issues. So to prevent that, they should understand why the variance has been adverse, so they will take corrective actions to correct them. Did you understand all that now?
Yeah, I understand that now.
Okay, now look at the next page. Look at this. Okay, there are a number of benefits from using this approach. So, using management by exception, there are a number of benefits. First, it focuses attention on the things that matter, resulting in better overall business performance. So, first thing is it focuses attention on the things that matter, okay, or what is important. It focuses on that. So, as a result, the overall business performance will be better. Okay, and the second thing is it saves time. Okay, the quantity of information made available to managers is reduced, improving the efficiency. So it will improve the manager's efficiency. It saves time. Okay. Third thing, it prevents managers from over managing the employees. Okay, this is also the benefits of management by exception. And then, however, there is also limitations to management by exception. First one is small variances might be ignored until it become very critical, because in management by exception they focus only what is important, on the most important a significant change. So which are like less important, the small variances, small difference in variance are ignored. So that is a disadvantage. Okay, until it becomes critical, the small variances are ignored. Did you understand that part?
Yeah, I understood that part.
Okay, so small variances might be ignored until they become critical, which could be prevented if actions was taken earlier. So when there's a small difference in variance and if they take actions earlier, then when it becomes critical, that could be prevented, right? If no actions are
Yeah,
being
it can be.
okay, yeah, if no actions are being taken at the starting stage, then if no actions are being taken, then it will become critical. So at the last stage, it's very difficult, to bring it to bring it back to normal. So that is what they are saying. And then it also relies heavily on the standard cost being accurate. Okay, management expectation also relies heavily on standard cost being accurate. Otherwise, there will be too many significant variances. Okay, so this is also a disadvantage. And also the concept also tends to suggest that only managers can correct variances, which might demotivate staff. So this concept, management by exception, it suggests that only management can correct variances. So if there's adverse and all that, only managers can correct them, not the employees. So the employees will be demotivated, right? Therefore, this is a disadvantage. Okay. And then the last one is finally there is the problem that positive variances may be ignored by management when it might be possible to make further improvements, meaning that inefficiencies continue. So, what they are saying is now okay, positive variants are ignored. Okay, when they do a technique called management by exception, positive variants are ignored. But then they are saying if they consider positive variants, then they could make more improvements to that. But then in management by exception, they don't do that. So therefore, it's a disadvantage. Did you understand all this now? Do you have any doubts?
Yeah, I understood all that.
Okay. And then now look at this. Okay, evaluate. Sometimes in questions, they might tell you to evaluate. Okay, so you have to know the advantages and disadvantage of standard costing also, because in like 2 marks question, 4 marks question, they can tell you list two advantages of standard costing and list two disadvantage. So let me explain you this also. For advantages, we can tell assist in business planning and budget preparation and sorry, an expected cost per unit of production provides management with a foundation for forward planning. So standard costing helps a business to plan well, and it helps business in preparing budgets and all that. Okay. um and also expected cost per unit of production provides the management with a foundation for forward planning. They can plan ahead. Okay, and the second one is allows performance to be compared with predetermined standards, preset standards. They can, it standard costing allows a company to compare that. And then it helps to estimate, not estimate, sorry, it helps eliminate waste. Okay, it will help a company to get rid of the waste, idle time, and inefficiencies by providing information on material and labor usage. So, on providing information on material and labor usage, it will help them to eliminate waste and all that. And then the fourth one is it helps to estimate production cost. Okay, and therefore it helps to provide quotations and all that. And then it standard costing helps with decision making also. Okay, standard cost make pricing decisions easier. So when you look at standard cost, it will help a company to make pricing decisions easier also. And then cost, volume, and price targets may increase production employees motivation. So cost, volume, and price targets, if all that will increase the employees' motivation. So when they are motivated, it's good because they will produce more, output level will increase, and it will benefit the company. Okay, and therefore it is an advantage. And then the last one leads to management by exception. Okay, so that is what I taught you before. Managers focus on what is important. So that is good, right, for a business?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, all these advantages, and we'll look at disadvantages. Okay, only suitable for standard repetitive production process. Manufacturing to order and service industries less suited to standard costing. So what they are saying is this standard costing system is suitable only for repetitive production process, and for businesses like manufacturing sector and all that, like related to industries and all that, it is like less suited. Okay. And then the next one, main
Okay.
cause. may cause time to be wasted investigating variances that are outside the control of the business. So some variants can be controllable, some are uncontrollable. So some variances which are outside the control of the business, for all those variances, it's like, time waste. Okay, it may cause time to be wasted on investigating all the variances which are outside their control. And then the need for accurate standard cost necessitates frequent review. That means the need for accurate standard cost require frequent analysis, frequent assessment, all that. So therefore, this is a disadvantage. And then inaccurate standards could lead to staff demotivation. So when the standards are not correct, it will lead to staff demotivation. And then high cost of implementation requires a large amount of information to be collected and processed. That means now, to implement the standard costing system, it is like, costly. So when it's costly, it's a disadvantage, right? Okay, and then cost can be controlled by using variance analysis. Okay, so all these are advantages and disadvantages. Just if you like, understand and memorize this, you can answer all the theory questions in standard costing. So I hope you will memorize all these, and I hope you will understand everything. Okay, do you have any doubts until this?
No, no doubts.
Okay.